How saving a stranger turned my entire life upside down. Forever. The salty air wrapped around me as I walked down the narrow coastal road, my old pickup truck parked a mile back, broken down for the third time that month. Living paycheck to paycheck as a part-time fisherman and odd-job man wasn't glamorous, but it was my life. Simple. Predictable. Until that day. I was rounding the curve where the cliffs meet the sea when I noticed it. A sleek black Mercedes, front smashed into the guardrail, half teetering over the edge. The driver's side door was wide open. A woman was struggling, her foot caught under the crumpled dashboard. Steam hissed from the engine, and the smell of burning oil filled the air. I didn't think, I just ran. "Hey! Are you okay?" I shouted as I approached. Her eyes were wide, terrified. She was maybe in her mid-30s, stunning even under the streaks of dirt and panic. Her designer suit was torn at the shoulder, and her manicured hands desperately pulled at her trapped leg. It's stuck. "I can't move," she gasped, her voice trembling. Behind her, the cliff crumbled slightly. Another few minutes and the entire car might tumble into the rocky ocean below. Without hesitation, I grabbed the doorframe and braced my feet. "You need to trust me. On 3, I'm gonna pull you out, okay?" She nodded frantically. 1, 2, 3. With all my strength, I yanked. Metal screeched as her leg wrenched free, and we both tumbled backward onto the gravel. Not a second later, the car groaned, and the entire front end tipped, crashing down the cliffs into the roaring waves below. She clung to me, breathing hard. For a moment, there was nothing but the sound of the sea and her rapid heartbeat against my chest. "You saved my life," she whispered. "Yeah, looks like I did." She pulled back, wiping tears from her eyes. "I'm Victoria. Victoria Hale." The name hit me like a bolt of lightning. Victoria Hale. As in the billionaire tech heiress. CEO of Hale International. The kind of person whose name was printed in glossy magazines, not whispered among broke fishermen like me. "I'm Jake," I replied, suddenly self-conscious of my salt-stained shirt and worn-out boots. "Jake Lawson." Victoria scanned the road, realizing her phone must have gone with the car. I offered mine, a cracked old flip phone barely hanging onto life, and she smiled weakly as she dialed. Within minutes, a black SUV appeared over the hill, screeching to a stop. 3 men in suits jumped out, shouting her name. "Miss Hale, are you all right?" She nodded but pointed at me. I wouldn't be, if it weren't for him. I expected that to be the end of it. A handshake, a thank you, maybe a polite check mailed to me for my troubles. That's how these things usually go with people like her. Our worlds don't mix. But 2 days later, someone knocked on the door of my tiny beach shack. When I opened it, there she was, dressed casually in jeans and sunglasses, holding 2 cups of coffee. "Hope you like it black. Thought we should talk." You came here?" I stammered. She grinned. "You saved my life, Jake. And I don't forget things like that." She walked past me like she owned the place, which, considering her net worth, she probably could have. We sat. She asked about my life, the fishing, the odd jobs, the endless repairs on the truck I couldn't afford. And for the first time in years, someone actually listened. Not out of politeness. Not waiting for their turn to speak. She listened. "You know, I've always envied people like you," she said, stirring her coffee. "Me? What's there to envy?" I chuckled bitterly. "Freedom. Simplicity. No boardrooms. No shareholders. No media vultures waiting for you to trip up." I raised an eyebrow. "Yeah, well, simplicity doesn't pay the bills." She leaned forward then, her expression suddenly serious. "Jake, listen. I have a proposition for you." My stomach tightened. Rich people and propositions didn't usually lead to good things for people like me. "What kind of proposition?" She smiled, slow and mischievous. "The job. Something different." A week later, my life changed completely. She hired me as her personal driver, at least, that's what the contract said. In truth, I was more than that. Bodyguard. Confidant. Escape hatch from her suffocating world. I traveled with her. New York. Paris. Tokyo. Her world was one of luxury suites, private jets, and multi-million-dollar deals. But beneath it I discovered someone real. Someone lonely. Someone who'd been burned too many times by people who only saw her as a dollar sign. And slowly, impossibly, we became friends. Then something more. It started with small touches. A hand on my arm. A lingering look. A shared laugh that lasted a little too long. One night, on the balcony of her penthouse overlooking the Manhattan skyline, it happened. "Jake," she whispered, voice trembling not with fear, but with something deeper. "I don't think I can pretend anymore." Neither could I. We kissed. Fireworks. Electricity. The kind of kiss that rewrites the rules of your universe. But nothing comes easy. The media caught wind. Tech queen Victoria Hale dating her driver? Splashed across every gossip site in existence. Paparazzi swarmed. Investors panicked. Board members whispered about her reckless behavior. "This will ruin you," I told her one night as we hid from photographers behind tinted windows. "Let them try," she shot back, gripping my hand. "I've spent my whole life living by everyone else's rules. Not anymore." But then, the real threat came. It turned out that someone on her board had been embezzling millions for years. When Victoria started digging, with me by her side, we found more than financial fraud. We found threats, bribery, blackmail. And when they realized she wouldn't back down, they came after her. Late one night, as we returned from a dinner, a black SUV rammed into our car. Men in masks jumped out. I barely managed to fight them off. The fisherman in me had never imagined being in a fistfight with corporate saboteurs, but we escaped. That was the breaking point. Victoria stood before the board the next day, presented everything. The accounts, the fake invoices, the threats, and then, in front of everyone, resigned. "You don't own me anymore," she declared. "I'm starting something new." She sold her shares. Walked away with billions. And then, she asked me something that nearly knocked me over. "Jake, how do you feel about buying a little boat and disappearing for a while?" That's exactly what we did. Now, we live in a small villa by the coast. She runs a nonprofit that funds environmental projects completely on her terms. I take tourists out fishing for fun. No pressure, no struggle. Sometimes, we walk that same coastal road where we met. And every time, she squeezes my hand and smiles. "Funny, isn't it?" she whispers. "How one moment, one decision, can change everything." And she's right. Because saving her didn't just change my life. It became my life.